Hi, everyone. Today we're going to have a conversation with Kevin. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on, and thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. Let's kick it off with a one-word open. So I always like to ask my guests to, kick it off with, hey, what's that one word that you're feeling in this moment, Kevin, that you could share with the audience and I, so we could be right there with you. What is that one word for you right now?
Urgent.
Okay, very cool. With that said, let's talk about your business. Take the next few minutes, talk about your business, high level, all the way down to how you started, where you are at today and where you're heading.
Yeah, so we're making virtual reality experiences that help people with things that they may come across in a job environment. So that might be some safety trainings. It might be anything from conversations about diversity, equity, and inclusion, conversations about mental health. We've got a couple great programs. One where the Air Force is the first customer, one around suicide prevention, one around sexual assault prevention. And what these all kind of fall into the same category of is that there are times when you're going to have a difficult conversation in your life, in your workplace, where you've never had that conversation before, but the stakes of that conversation are very high. And the more practiced you are, the more prepared you are, the better you're going to do at navigating that conversation, the better outcome it's going to be. So in these virtual reality experiences, you're sitting across from somebody, you're saying the words out loud. So you can practice, when I say something like this is what the response gets. When I'm open, this is how somebody responds. If I get defensive, this is how somebody responds. And it's really just incredible to see how this virtual reality technology of being able to put somebody into an experience and letting them experience it the way that they would in the real world, but in a way that's in a safe space so they can practice and fail without being self-conscious, and so that they can get better. So when they see these conversations in the real world, it's not the first time they're having to say these difficult things.
Interesting. Is this only for, professionally speaking, or do you do personal side as well?
Yeah, so everything is for the workplace. So there is stuff for career development and professional development, but it's very much in that workplace category.
Awesome. Okay. Let's talk about the pandemic. I always love asking everybody, hey, the pandemic sucked, right? For all of us. It impacted everyone. It's really sad. And a lot of people have, heartfelt moments that they had to push through and come out on the other side and save the company, whether it's taking a pay cut themselves to help the rest of the C-suite, or the whole C-suite takes a pay cut to help the rest of the organization. So I've heard some fascinating stories. So here's that question. So tell us how the pandemic impacted your organization, and then how did you pivot and come out?
Yeah, so biggest thing for us, we were 5 people at the beginning in March of 2020, and then we've scaled to about 40. So that scaling that happened in an entirely remote environment was a big challenge for culture. So how do you build culture in a remote environment? And that's something that, 2 years out, something we didn't think about the first year, but then realized was going to be super important for long-term sustainability of the organization. How are we communicating in a way that's building culture, building stronger bonds, building stronger connections? The things people love at work is working with people when they have great relationships with those people, getting to know people, being able to trust and rely on those people, and how to do that on Zoom when there's not those things of, yeah, you're at the office, people are going out to lunch and talking about their kids or whatever that is. When that kind of casual stuff doesn't happen, needing to be deliberate about building culture is really the biggest challenge that we've seen and been working through.
Got it. What about some wins? Can you tell us maybe a recent win from Q1 that you put on the board that you're happy to share with us? Yep.
Yeah, so we just launched a program. The National Urban League is our partner for all things diversity and inclusion. And they just launched a program in their library around safety. And the concept is when people speak up, if people are comfortable in talking about something that's not going wrong, they can stop safety incidents before they happen. So when you think about a speak up culture, thinking about a place where people will say something if they see something. Well, what happens when you got environments where people aren't saying things because of cultural differences? And so this was a really exciting one that we just launched, that is putting somebody in an experience where there's a potential safety red flag, and you have to get the people on your team to feel comfortable, emphasizing the psychological safety, to get them to say something so that they'll give you the information so you can help solve the problem of preventing a real world safety incident. So that particular one is set in the oil and gas industry. We've got one coming up that's very similar, set in manufacturing industry. But was kind of one of the big wins recently.
Nice. Let's shift gears over to thought leadership. Tell us your point of view on thought leadership, specifically what you think is the number one factor that someone must possess to be an awesome thought leader, in your opinion.
Yeah, just having ideas and having a desire to share those ideas with the world. When you think about something like virtual reality, the definition of virtual reality, the definition of the metaverse is so amorphous that it's going to be defined by the people who speak up and say something about it. And so if you've got a desire for the world to be a certain way in the future, the best thing that you have to help shape it is your words and your thought leadership.
Awesome. How about company culture? You just touched on that a few minutes ago. Let's dive deeper into that. What's your point of view on the number one thing the company must do in order to have an awesome culture?
Well, something we've been really deliberate about this year is not assuming that it's just going to happen, putting efforts in place where there's conversations from the ground up about what's the culture that we want, and then what are the things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis to make that happen, and what are the things that we're doing to make each other accountable to making sure that we're all working in line to make that same culture become a reality.
Awesome. Let's go over to your typical sweet spot of a client. Can you kind of give us an insight into what's the company size, or what pain points are you dealing with every single day as a company, in turn, which would make sense for them to reach out to you and check you out and, knock on your door, so to speak?
Yeah, so we work with big enterprises. So that could be anywhere from a Fortune 500 company, or like I mentioned, organizations like the Air Force. And it's, what are those big challenging topics that have strategic importance, where maybe you're training it with PowerPoint or e-learning or some other training that's not as effective as it could be. It might be an in-person training that has become cost prohibitive because of pandemic, because of remote and work environment, and now you need a better way to train it. Virtual reality is significantly more effective, significantly lower cost than in-person training. And that's where our customers are coming to us, because they say, we have these high stakes conversations. We have this culture building topics, whether it's talking about mental health, talking about diversity and inclusion, talking about suicide prevention, that we need to be better at as an organization, and our current training tools just aren't getting the job done.
Got it. Thank you very much. So if you want to take this opportunity to give out your website address and any social handles that for people to follow your company to learn more, please do that now.
Yeah, it's mothandflamevr.com. And then on LinkedIn, we got a lot of great content going out there on a regular basis. And you can just find us in Moth and Flame. Look up Moth and Flame Virtual Reality on LinkedIn. You'll find it.
Awesome, Kevin. Here we are at the end. Give us the one word close you want to sign off with. I know you started with urgence, right? And you're here. We're at, tell us why you're choosing this word to close out with, so we have context as well.
Yeah, excited. And there's just there's so much possible in the future of virtual reality, future of using technology to help people. There's just infinite things that we all can be doing, and just having the opportunity to do those things to help people get better is really exciting.
Awesome, Kevin. Thanks for the great conversation.
Awesome. Thank you.